Welcome. Very excited to present our FY24 Q3 results and the business outlook. We really wanted to focus today on a couple of things, just share with you the activities that have gone on in the quarter, and just share a little bit of context behind them, and also obviously the financials that you would have seen within our 4C, and give some indications as to the outlook ahead for the business, which we are very, very excited about. So why don't I kick off? First of all, there's a couple of new shareholders, so I'd like to, I'll keep this slide in for stock, but I just want to recap on the business and what we're about. It's, when we talk about, there's a lot of complexity in compliance in Australia, which makes it a difficult message to get across to people at times. So what is Wrkr about? We are all about the simplification of compliance, those compliance moments between an employer and an employee. Specifically, the moments that allow an employee to be onboarded correctly into the workforce, and start their job with the correct credentials, identity, and set up their super, and set themselves up to be paid. And then the compliance moments around the ongoing payment of individuals and payment into their super or self-managed super in a compliant fashion, as well as ensuring that their credentials are maintained and kept up to date. That's really the cornerstone of this business. These are heavily regulated compliance moments, and the game is very much around scale, but it's also about each extra compliance moment tends to be a proportional add to the prior compliance moments that we've built. So it allows us to continue to grow in the market. The vision of the business and where we are headed towards is being very much a one-stop shop for those compliance moments between the employer and the employee. And really what quarterbacks that strategy for us is coming from the superannuation side of the business, which is a heavily regulated element in Australian compliance. And obviously, mobile experience is a real differentiator from our perspective, because you can't talk about simplifying compliance if you can't make it easy for employees to participate. And not every employee is a sophisticated investor sitting behind a laptop. Many are, it's on the bus on a mobile phone, and that's the design principles we bring in to the business. So that's the background of Wrkr. The two big things I want to talk about, the first one is progress. I've had a few questions come into us around how we're progressing on the Link contract, and so I just want to give some context to that. So very much, we're seeing great progress with Link. As always, when we're talking about large-scale platforms that are really in the superannuation industry embedded in, and we don't typically see change over a 10-year horizon. Obviously, there's a lot of planning goes into the setup, a lot of configuration work, and so we're really excited about the progress that we've made as a company, but also that we're making together with Link. So I just want to give some context on when we talk about the Link Group industry fund build. So for really the targeted build of the Wrkr platform for Link's clients to be offered to Link's clients, it's around, it's not just the technology. So it comes with contract management and aggregated pricing arranged by Link. So it makes it an appealing offer. It also brings a level of certainty around the contract management and protocols that are already well in market between the super funds and Link. Full integration to Link's Aspire platform, which is the admin platform for staff, which is not a trivial exercise. So, and in particular, that integration is both integrating to bring new members into Aspire platform on behalf of a fund, and managing their ongoing information and any changes to that information. That's how we help Link people and staple them into their prior super. But also in the Hong Kong implementation, providing data and performance information back to the corporation, where we're using a pension model as opposed to the Australian superannuation model. So a fairly extensive level of integration. Obviously, funds have the opportunity to have a high level of branding and configuration. That's actually the work that's been going on in the background with Rest, who were announced as the first fund cab off the rank, so to speak. And that employer experience being highly designed to fit and be in keeping with the type of experience and segmentation that the fund has with their employer cohorts. Member onboarding, and then the opportunity for the funds to then leverage a wider available catalogue of our compliance moments. And I've mentioned on a couple of occasions, that's an exciting prospect for our business because under the SIS Act, the super funds are very focused on managing super, and they are able to provide the contribution fees and pick up those fees. However, the other compliance moments require those entities to pay for those elements and then interact directly with Wrkr, which gives us over time a great channel to market of our other compliance moments. And obviously the ability to collaborate on the build of new services. So that is really a backdrop of what is going on in that industry fund build. It is the same common build, so lowers our total cost of operation, our ability to serve, our ability to deliver new innovation into the platform, as it is the one single core platform being deployed for each fund that takes up the service. So obviously we're in the pilot program right now with Rest. We are nearing completion of phase 1 of the implementation for 3 of the largest employer groups in Hong Kong. We're very excited about that. So that's where that part of our program is right now. Obviously, we expect that to accelerate as we move forward with the ability to, as each fund is deployed, obviously the software becomes not only more robust and more complete, but our delivery pattern becomes more repeatable, and that's really where the advantage comes for the business over the next horizon. The second element that's been going on, you will have seen, I know a couple of you follow us on LinkedIn and social media. We alluded to this in work that's gone on in the prior quarter around a detailed integration into Workday. And this is incredibly important. I sort of want to give some backdrop to this. When we look at the Australian market, while the bottom end of the market, small businesses are often serviced by either go direct to the small business clearinghouse provided by the ATO. Many leverage their industry fund as the provider of the contributions or the superannuation compliance moments. But many large corporates are implementing software, making that implementation choice themselves, and then choosing an independent supplier for the provision of the other compliance moments. Recognizing this, we've taken a very keen focus on who are the larger movers and shakers within the Australian marketplace. We're very fortunate in our collaboration with KPMG and Workday, in that Workday is probably one of the largest of the new large international entrants. They have over 200 major programs of work going on right now across Australia, and typically with some of the largest employer groups in Australia. So these are the largest catchments of employers that would seek a supply of compliance moments direct, as opposed to necessarily having them outsourced and to a super fund. So this is our 2 bookends of the market. So we chose this as our first target for an investment. It's a repeatable pattern. So we do believe that the pattern is very useful for us in looking at other HRM providers who have a similar challenge. And what we've deployed right now is the integration of tax file number, tax declaration, the super choice moment, and stapling, and then dashboards for showing the other compliance moments and having a single view of employee compliance. It's a great partnership, really, because Workday is an enormous multinational organisation. and they were seeking a partner that is Australian-based, that really understands the nuance of compliance laws within Australia, and had not just an advice, but a technology solution to close that gap. So that's been really positive for us. We launched in Melbourne and in Sydney. Within a week of that, there were several very large organisations, household brands in Australia, that had reached out because they saw that this was a genuine gap and felt it would be an improvement on their investment with Workday as such a strong product offering. So that's been very positive for us, and you'll start to hear more in quarters moving forward as we both grow the value out of the relationship between KPMG and Workday, but also as we take that pattern of integration and expand further into that top tier of Australian employers. So they're the two big activities that we've been working on. I was conscious that you hear snippets, and this gives you the opportunity to hear the background and context, and then hopefully there'll be some Q&A at the end that I can add to any of the questions. So if I jump through to the financial highlights, and I'll leave that realm for Karen if you're there, Karen.
I am here. Thanks, Trent, and apologies again for my video not working today, but I will power through. So yeah, we had a fantastic quarter. It was really great to see the efforts on delivering some of the Link contracted milestones in the quarter and the payments for those. So we had 1.3 million of cash receipts in from Link in the quarter, and that enabled us to finish the quarter with a positive operating cash flow. And yeah, we see going into Q4 is looking quite strong with the continuation of those deliverables. We've got strong growth indicators when compared to the prior comparative quarter last year. You can see that we're up 44% in terms of revenue, and our cost to income ratio continues to improve, getting to 1.07 now, an improvement of 27% on the same quarter last year. And that's just really trending in the direction that we want for a positive EBITDA in FY25. So that's really going the direction that we'd like to. All of that's leading to heading into Q4 and FY25 with a solid base of contracted revenues across Art, Link, and our existing clearinghouse and STP customers, as well as the opportunities through pipelines such as KPMG and the Workday launch. So to reiterate Trent's earlier comments, our strategy remains to grow the base, grow the relevance, and grow the value. We're growing the base through our contract with Link that provides us with that access to employers and handling many of the compliance moments for their employees, and the potential access to more major and smaller funds, as well as our international opportunities that we've already seen with the likes of our Hong Kong engagement with Link. We're growing the relevance by having a strong connection with super funds, employers, government departments, payroll administrators, and system integrators and HRMs that Trent just expanded on a little bit before in his comments with KPMG and Workday. When we look at growing the value, we're just offering those more compliance moments and building out those compliance moments through the hire to retire life cycle. We're doing all of this while focusing on investing in the strategy for growth, while we continue to increase our security posture, the product features and functions, and really aiming to achieve those economies as we scale. I'll flick back over to you, Trent.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. So you can see it in the financial numbers are self-evident. The business is performing very well and in the direction of travel that as the management team and board are very excited about, and believe the shareholder community should equally be excited about. We are in an industry where contracts are slow, notoriously. They are typically, though, large in value and very long term. So the investment is well worth the payoff. But due to that slow period of onboarding, particularly large super funds, I'm very excited by what the team's been able to do in terms of keeping a good continuous growth in revenue and keeping the costs well managed at the same time. We've been very cautious on expenditure, and I do believe that shows. There is definitely opportunity for us to invest further, and I think as you heard Karen talk through the strong contracted base, but as well as the new positions that are in front of us, I do believe there is an opportunity for us to start to invest in a more targeted fashion, particularly towards the super fund opportunities coming out of the link arrangement. There are a couple of things, some external factors that I just want to touch that are very much we still see as favourable for the business. The regulatory tailwinds are well and truly in our favour. This is somewhat the super element of our business around contributions, as I mentioned, is the cornerstone of all of our compliance. It's the lowest charge compliance event that we have. So volume does matter, and really the opportunity for us, we see that market, the entire market is actually set to triple. There's about 160 million super contribution events per annum right now, and there's 500 million pay events in Australia. So there's a more than tripling of the superannuation compliance moments, which is very positive for our business and the positions and contracts that we've put in place. That's not scheduled to come in till about 2026, which gives us time to really onboard and build our positions in the market. So obviously that is a strong growth from a regulatory tailwind side we're excited by. There's also fairly favourable market conditions. We're an interesting company, and it's difficult. I hear the news and watch on the ASX and listen to the economists. We're worried about inflation, and we all absolutely are. We're a business, though, as interest rates are high, our float income increases. So we actually transact more favourably in adverse conditions for the rest of the market. So that's an important attribute for us, but also we're very heavily focused on Australian compliance moments around employment. And in reality, employment remains high. There are large imports of additional employees into the country through foreign worker visas and foreign students, which continue to prop up growth on top of our natural population growth in Australia. So that, coupled with the interest of the government in more and more information and higher complexity of digital compliance events, that really bodes well for us. Obviously, the industry dynamics, we've been all watching the different super fund mergers and acquisitions, as well as some activity in payroll. Again, change is good for a business such as ours. When people have large 10-year contracts, any trigger to come to market and reassess is positive for Wrkr, because Wrkr is priced very aggressively in the market, but with technology that is very modern and considered to be quite advanced. So that's really the backdrop of the business. I think rather than us talk more, I'd rather hear your questions, and we'll endeavour to answer what we can on this call. We already have some coming into the chat, so let me pop that up. And let's run through a couple of these. So we have one. Seems that Mitsubishi Link deal will complete. Can you speculate on potential for funding options that might come from the new owner or its management business? First, Incentia. Look, yeah, at this stage, I would be saying too early to tell for us. What we have observed in other acquisitions from Mitsubishi and feedback we've had in the market is that they tend to support the current or local management team to get on with the business at hand rather than be a blocker. And in the first phase, they tend to bring more growth opportunity through introduction, particularly around their global network, before really bringing any real management or change of structure. So for us, we see smooth sailing ahead. We see more freed up time from the Link management team as they move out of that period of having to go through a deal phase. That said, we're obviously a very complementary business to the business of Link. So that, yeah, over time will put us on different businesses' radars. So hopefully I answered that politically well enough for you, Steve. If Wrkr is critical to Link's competitive advantage, surely it makes sense for Mitsubishi to flick you a financing option. Well, I'm not sure. We're not, haven't been in the market at this point for a financing option, and to be honest, we have a lot of our business tied to Link on our growth, but actually not all of our business. And I would be at this stage erring on the side, and you know, it's a wider board decision than mine, but I would be erring on the side of us, you know, growing under our own steam as quickly as we can, and you know, really looking towards those opportunities. Let them come out of left field down the road. I think we've still got to meet our first principles, which is, you know, grow that base and prove enough value that we are the sticky supplier for that base. Did Workday consider other compliance tech providers before partnering with Wrkr? Yeah, great question. Yeah, but yes, they did. They worked with, it was interesting, it was on a LinkedIn post and in the presentations from KPMG. Actually, it was KPMG that bought our solution to Workday, having done a fairly extensive analysis of the market. KPMG were most interested in the breadth of our compliance moments and our ability to do that seamless integration behind the scenes with Workday. And that's what introduced the solution to Workday, which now Workday have taken an interest in across their wider portfolio. So yeah, it's great to hear. It's a bit ironic given most of our company were ex-PwC at some point in time, but there you go. They recognise good work. And actually, it's a fantastic relationship with the folk at KPMG. Does Workday have partnerships with other corporate groups? Yes, they absolutely do. There's about, look, I wouldn't know in detail the ranking, but KPMG, Accenture, Deloitte would be three of the largest in their relationship side that we have seen. And we obviously have a great relationship with KPMG. We also have we have relationships wider than that. So we have pretty good visibility of the other elements of the market. So it would be less likely that we would integrate with another system integrator per se. The way our solution works is we're very geared towards integrate to Workday. And what KPMG have built is really the change management strategy to go and help their organizations meet the compliance needs. So that's where it's a healthy three-way relationship. Sorry, it's all me at the moment, Karen, on the questions. Great, John. What is the general feedback from REST users trialing the Wrkr platform? So at this stage, too early to tell, John. We've got, there's actually, when we talk about users, it's quite a myriad of users that including the support teams, the people who have to answer all the queries and questions. So part of the works we are both piloting and implementing is the way to look at it. The broad contributions platform is really, we're on an implementation track. So everything that we're doing there is about making it robust for scaling out. The pilot is really about the enhanced services. So that's the mobile branded capability. And there's a fair bit of configuration work there that we're still undergoing with the team at REST. And Michael, can you clarify which revenue categories apply to the Link deal and the Workday deals? Look, not at this stage, Michael. Our our revenue is very much split across the compliance moments. The Workday deals, this is really just the launch of the Workday deal. It's gone out to about 16 of their major clients. So we won't see that revenue start to flow through till over the next 6 months. So for us, the way we're really doing it is looking at 2 bookends. So we're still target the $7 of ARPU across as many users as possible. Our base price is well over that. Obviously, when we're dealing at the system integrator end, our base price is around that when we deal at the super fund end, because as you can imagine, super funds are representing about 1 million to 1.4 million users versus each major entity is circa 10,000 to 30,000 employees. So they're on slightly different merit.
I might just add a little bit of additional comments to that one as well, Trent, for Michael. When we're looking at the link revenue categories, it's really the combination of the Wrkr Pay and Wrkr Ready that you see in our financial statements. When we talk about Wrkr Pay, it's really the transactional side and the compliance moments of making pay and meeting and your superannuation contributions. So there's transactional revenues, but there's also the fund onboarding and the development and implementation, which is more around that SaaS development and implementation in the Wrkr Ready. When we're looking at employer onboarding, that's more in that Wrkr Ready revenue category. I hope that answers your question.
Right. Thanks, Karen. There's a question on, do we anticipate any potential large contract wins in Q4? Look, I won't forecast ahead on the quarter. We're into that quarter now by activity. There are a range of contracts and negotiations underway as we have continually in the business. Speculating where they'll land when we're the smaller entity or the smaller party in the transactions, that's a game I tend not to enter into. But the pipeline has never been healthier in our business in the time that I've been involved with the organisation. I think the probably 2 elements, and what we will see as we move towards the back end, the end of the calendar year, you'll see our pipeline start to change in sort of smaller to medium deals happening with more frequency, obviously through our system integrator market approach, while we continue to build upon the large implementations that come through super. One thing which is a positive is as we move forward towards payday super, we're burning daylight from a super fund perspective. So there is more and more emphasis from the super funds to put their correct solutions in place. So we actually, we hope to see the larger end of the market start to accelerate as well. And there's a couple of questions here. There's for Workday at large employers, customers, to switch from their current compliance process to using Wrkr through Workday. Does that involve much change? Actually, no, very little change. This is just some interesting dynamics. If you're a major university implementing Workday, you've probably spent circa $4 million on a large implementation of a system that covers every single process across your organisation, from OH&S to all of your people issues, to leave entitlements and leave management and rostering. It's very comprehensive in the footprint. And so once an organisation makes a commitment to that level of investment, they are looking for solution providers who are willing to live inside that investment and just make it work. And so for them to connect to Wrkr, it's actually a very low effort. In fact, it takes away a lot of paper-based administrative work that currently resides today, and it makes the Workday investment a better overall investment. So yeah, it was a great question, but it's actually in many ways probably our easiest value proposition to sell. So it's well worth the while, and we'll continue to drive that integration. We won't stop at those compliance moments. We will add more and more as we go. And there was a final question: what is going on with the C notes? So the convertible notes that are coming to expiry. So those convertible notes, we hold 3.3 million in convertible notes in the business. They come due at the end of September, start of October. We have the rights to choose to pay them out or allow them to convert in part or in full. And so the board is currently weighing up those options where you know, we have a little bit of time, and we want to use that time wisely to make sure that the business is in the best shape, and we want to make the right decision. We also are looking at our long-term investment requirements as well, and so those convertible notes will be wrapped up in those conversations with the board. So too soon to tell right now, Steve, to give a clear answer, but the board certainly have some strong views that we're aligned on. So there we go. That's I think is all of the Q&A. We really should start to change the format so I can hear your voices rather than you just have to hear my monotone voice. But that really ends for today's session. Again, I invite you all. You know, we pride ourselves on being incredibly transparent. So please feel free to come into our Investor Hub, ask questions. I've answered every question that's been put to us there. So it is a great forum to do it. And I tend to always come back publicly so everybody can get the opportunity to hear. So that's where we post any of our insights first. So thank you again for attending. We will publish this up to our Investor Hub site. And thanks again.
Thank you.